July 20th, 1944. Inside a heavily guarded forest compound in East Prussia, a one-eyed, one-handed German colonel calmly walks into a room where Adolf Hitler is standing over a map table. The colonel sets his briefcase down just 4 feet from the Führer's legs, excuses himself for a phone call, and leaves. 12 minutes later, the briefcase explodes with the force of a small artillery shell. The blast tears 4 men to pieces and blows the hut apart. Everyone outside is certain Hitler is dead. For 3 terrifying hours, a military coup begins to seize Berlin. And yet, by nightfall, the Führer is alive, the coup is crushed, and the colonel is facing a firing squad. This is the true minute-by-minute story of the closest anyone ever came to killing Adolf Hitler, and the German officer who risked his name, his family, and his life to do it. This is Klaus von Stauffenberg in Operation Valkyrie, the spy who betrayed Hitler, the untold story of Operation Valkyrie. The making of a reluctant Nazi Klaus Philipp Schenk. Graf von Stauffenberg was born in 1907 in one of the most aristocratic families in southern Germany, the same family that produced generals for 500 years. Tall, dark, cultured, Catholic, he was the kind of man who quoted ancient Greek poetry in the officers' mess and played Beethoven's sonatas on the piano. In the 1920s, he joined the Reichswehr and rose fast. When Hitler took power in 1933, Stauffenberg, like most conservative officers, was cautiously optimistic. He cheered the rearmament, cheered the reoccupation of the Rhineland in 1936. But then came November 9th, 1938, Kristallnacht. Synagogues burning, Jewish shops smashed. Stauffenberg was disgusted. He called it a shame that will stain Germany's honor for centuries. That was the first fracture. The real turning point came in Poland, 1939. Stauffenberg was a staff officer with the 6th Panzer Division. He began hearing eyewitness reports of Einsatzgruppen death squads shooting thousands of Polish priests, teachers, and Jews. One night he told his brother Berthold, "This is murder. If we do nothing, we are complicit." By 1940, he was secretly contacting other officers who felt the same. But how do you stop a dictator when you wear his uniform? The secret army inside the Wehrmacht. There was an entire underground inside the German military. The center was the Abwehr, military intelligence, run by Admiral Wilhelm Canaris, who hated the Nazis so much he was feeding information to the British. Key conspirators. Major General Henning von Treschow, the moral engine of the plot. In March 1943, he smuggled a bomb onto Hitler's personal plane disguised as 2 bottles of Cointreau. The barometric fuse failed because of the freezing cold at altitude. Hitler landed safely and never knew how close he had come. General Friedrich Ulbricht, who controlled the replacement army in Berlin, hundreds of thousands of troops who never left Germany. General Ludwig Beck, former chief of the General Staff, forced out in 1938 for opposing war. Colonel Albrecht Merz von Quernheim, Stauffenberg's closest friend from childhood. By early 1943, they all agreed on 2 things. Hitler had to die and the war had to be ended immediately, preferably with a separate peace in the West. The plan they hijacked, Operation Valkyrie. Ironically, the tool they chose was an official Nazi contingency plan written by Hitler himself. Valkyrie was designed to crush any uprising by foreign slave laborers or an internal revolt. It gave the replacement army the power to take over every city in Germany within hours. The conspirators simply rewrote the orders. The moment Hitler was dead, Valkyrie would be triggered to arrest the SS, seize radio stations, and disarm the Gestapo instead. They tried and failed, dozens of times between 1943 and 1944. Officers smuggled pistols into meetings. A young captain named Axel von dem Busche volunteered to wear a new winter uniform packed with explosives and hug Hitler at a demonstration. The uniforms were destroyed in an Allied air raid the night before. Every attempt collapsed. The North African wound that changed everything, April 7, 1943. Tunisia. Stauffenberg is now a lieutenant colonel on Rommel's staff. His staff car is strafed by a British fighter. The cannon shells tear off his right hand, destroy his left eye, and take 2 fingers from his left hand. Doctors give him hours to live. He survives. While recovering in a Munich hospital, blind in one eye and learning to write with his 3 remaining fingers, he tells his wife Nina, "I have no choice now. I must try to kill him." By June 1944, he's back on active duty wearing the black General Staff uniform and a black glove over the stump of his right hand. General Olbricht maneuvers to get him appointed Chief of Staff to General Friedrich Fromm, commander of the replacement army in Berlin. That single promotion gives Stauffenberg something no one else has: regular personal access to Hitler at the Wolf's Lair. July 1944, the clock is running out. By summer 1944, Germany is collapsing. The Allies have landed in Normandy. The Red Army has just launched Operation Bagration and is annihilating Army Group Center. The conspirators know they have weeks, maybe days. Stauffenberg flies to the Wolf's Lair 3 times in 2 weeks carrying a bomb in his briefcase. Attempt number 1, July 11th. He arms the bomb, goes to the briefing, but Heinrich Himmler and Hermann Göring are not in the room. The plotters had agreed. Hitler alone is not enough. The entire command structure has to be decapitated. Stauffenberg quietly disarms the bomb and flies back. Attempt number 2, July 15th. Same story. Himmler absent again. Stauffenberg arms the bomb, places it, then gets an urgent coded message from Berlin. Abort. He has to walk back into the conference room under Hitler's nose and retrieve the briefcase before the fuse burns down. His aide Werner von Haften nearly has a heart attack. July 18th, the final decision. The conspirators meet in Berlin. The Red Army is 300 miles from East Prussia. They make the hardest call of their lives. Hitler alone will have to do. If they wait any longer, Germany will be destroyed. July 20th, 1944, the longest day. Early morning, Stauffenberg and Haften take off from Rangsdorf Airfield near Berlin in a Heinkel He-111. In the briefcase, 2 1-kilogram packages of British plastic explosive C captured in North Africa with silent pencil fuses. They land at Rastenburg. Fate intervenes immediately. Because Mussolini is visiting the next day, Hitler has moved the daily briefing 2 hours earlier, and from the deep concrete bunker into a flimsy wooden barracks with open windows. Concrete would have reflected the blast. Open windows and thin walls will bleed it away. Stauffenberg is told to freshen up. In a side room with only 3 fingers, he and Haften desperately try to arm both bombs using pliers. An SS adjutant pounds on the door. "Hurry up! The Führer is waiting!" They only manage to crush the acid capsule on 1 bomb, half the planned explosive power, stuff the second unused package into Haften's briefcase, and run. The map room 23 men crowd around the heavy oak table. Hitler is bent over maps. Stauffenberg places his briefcase against the table leg, right beside General Heusinger, who is speaking. He whispers to an adjutant that he has an urgent call from Berlin and walks out. Colonel Heinz Brandt, trying to get a better view of the map, casually kicks the briefcase a few inches further under the table, behind the thick oak support that will act like a shield. Detonation! The explosion is apocalyptic. The hut disintegrates. Bodies are hurled through the walls. Stenographer Heinrich Berger is killed instantly. General Schmundt, Hitler's adjutant, dies of his wounds days later. General Korten and Colonel Brandt die in agony. Hitler is thrown to the floor, trousers shredded, hair singed, eardrums ruptured, right arm temporarily paralyzed. The oak table leg saved his life. The fatal misunderstanding, Stauffenberg watches the column of black smoke from a distance, sees bodies being carried out, hears officers screaming that no one could have survived. He and Haften bluff their way past 3 checkpoints and take off for Berlin, absolutely convinced Hitler is dead. Berlin. At the Bendler block, General Olbricht issues the Valkyrie orders. The Führer is dead. The army is taking executive power. Troops roll into Berlin. The Guard Battalion Grossdeutschland surrounds the government quarter. Major Otto Ernst Römer is ordered to arrest propaganda minister Josef Goebbels. The phone call that destroys everything. Goebbels, calm as ever, invites Römer into his office, picks up the phone, and gets Hitler on the line from the Wolf's Lair. Hitler's voice, raspy but unmistakable, roars, "Major Römer, do you recognize my voice? A clique of generals has attempted a coup. Shoot the traitors." Raymer immediately switches sides. The tide turns, news spreads that Hitler will broadcast to the nation. Loyal officers arrest the conspirators inside the Bentler block. General Frum, who had waffled all day, now rushes to prove his loyalty. He convenes a drumhead court-martial that lasts 5 minutes. The courtyard floodlights snap on. Stauffenberg, Ulbricht, Merz von Quirnheim, and Hoften are led out. Stauffenberg shouts to a friend in the window, "They failed to save Germany!" As the firing squad raises rifles, he cries out, "Long live our sacred Germany!" The volley echoes across the courtyard. Klaus von Stauffenberg falls dead at age 36. Aftermath. In the weeks that followed, the Gestapo arrested more than 7,000 people. Nearly 5,000 were executed, some strangled with piano wire and hung from meat hooks at Plötzensee prison while being filmed for Hitler's entertainment. Stauffenberg's wife Nina and their 4 young children were imprisoned under Sippenhaft, family liability laws. His brother Berthold was executed in September. The ancient Stauffenberg name was ordered erased from German history. Yet July 20th, 1944 proved one thing forever. Resistance inside Nazi Germany was real. Aristocrats, generals, socialists, priests, students, thousands risked everything because they believed Germany's soul was worth saving. Klaus von Stauffenberg was not a perfect hero. He once supported Hitler. He was late to the resistance, but in the end he looked evil in the face, carried the bomb himself, and paid the ultimate price. He was a traitor to the Third Reich, and one of the greatest patriots Germany ever had. What's your thoughts on Stauffenberg's sacrifice? Let me know in the comments and consider subscribing.